I'm Kevin Strandberg, practicing artist. I live in Bloomington. And I taught at Illinois Wesleyan in the School of Art for 39 years, and I'm now retired and very happily working in my studio, making lots and lots of work. In 1970 I took my first art history class at the University of Minnesota, and there's a tiny little picture of the Sagrada Familia, the Gaudi church, in the Jansen World of Art, and I was transfixed by that thing. And it wasn't until 15 years later, in 1985, that I actually got over there to actually see it, and I've been going back ever since. Barcelona is it's a real, there's like a creative energy in that city it's pretty amazing. I mean, if you think of all the artists that came out of there, I mean, Dali and Miro, Antoni Tapies, and of course Picasso spent his formative years living in Barcelona. His father was an art professor. And so it was the Gaudi buildings that drew me to the city, actually, initially. And I have been documenting those buildings for a long time, since 1985. And little by little, when I lived there for a sabbatical for about 8 months in 1986. And I could go outside all of those Gaudi buildings, but they were private residences. And since then, through the years, the city has bought those buildings, and they become national museums, and you can go visit all of them. So the city continues to draw me back and back and back. And there's visual things about it, that just the Gaudi buildings and other contemporary architects' work. But I know there's graffiti everywhere, but there's something about the Spanish graffiti that's, they take it to another level. And I mean, there's actually an actual park with concrete walls that graffiti artists, they do like complete works. They're really beautiful stuff. So the graffiti became another feature that is continually just drawing me to that. Well, I mean, of course, I've been photographing everything I could over there, black and white and in color. And I've made sculpture in the past, which it drew influences from that architecture. I made a number of pieces that had ceramic mosaics on it, and I was deriving imagery from what I saw and incorporating it into my own work. Most recently, I started in 2003. I started fusing glass. I took a class at a Bullseye Glass in Portland, Oregon. And I actually started a program at Wesleyan of glass fusing, and I was able to actually take photographs, snippets of graffiti, and then through a photographic process I would make silk screens, and then the silk screens I can sift powdered glass onto a sheet of glass and fire it in a kiln, and I can build up collage, build up imagery. And so I started doing these graffiti collages, and then I photographed, there's this amazing exhibition of frescoes, medieval religious frescoes in Barcelona in the Palacio Nacional, and I photographed those, and I started to incorporate these liturgical figures with the graffiti, and sometimes the faces in the graffiti interact almost directly. So I'm trying to, all those things, I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of black and white negatives, and I make these silk screens, and I'm drawing directly from what I photographed over there and making new compositions using that imagery. So it's been a real evolution from just randomly throwing stuff to maybe making things that look a little more pictorial, and then now I'm trying to do these sort of raw overlays, and I don't know. I continue to be sort of fascinated and amusing myself making these pieces. Well, I love making black and white photographs. I taught that for 39 years, and I never embraced the digital world except to document my work. But to make these silkscreen, these fused glass pieces, I take it through a process using high contrast sheet film. And I know you could do that digitally, but I don't know how to do that, and I don't really want to learn that. And I get the results that I want using old wet photography techniques that I'm well versed in those. So, and you know, I'm an old dog. I just don't want to learn any new tricks. The old ones just work fine for me. So
That's great.
the whole notion of a photographic memory is different now. I mean, you ask somebody about something and they're like, bam, then they show you a picture, and people's memories are on their phone now. And the memories I have from Barcelona they're the weird things that have happened to me, and they're a lot more ethereal. And it's my vision of Barcelona that I'm making with these pieces. And so at a glance, they sort of look like graffiti throw-ups on the wall, which evolve. You know, more graffiti gets slapped on it, people tag it. It's a kind of a fluid evolution that happens to these wall pieces. And so these glass pieces, I think, try to give people a sense of what it's like walking down the street through these windy little streets with all this graffiti on the sides. And yeah, it's nominally Catholic, but it's its own weird brand of Catholicism. For example, the Christmas crutch, the nativity scene, has an extra figure in Catalonia called the Caganer. He's going to the bathroom, crouched down, and he's pooping on the side of the nativity. There's always kind of a tongue-in-cheek feeling about the church, although they would never openly smack talk it. But I mean, the Catalan is laced with expletives when somebody's ticked off. That well, they're religious, you know. They take the holy, you know, the Mother of God, and they say that as comparing her to a puta, and you know. So I think there's this love-hate relationship. And well, the one thing I like about the Catalonia or Barcelona is they're just so damn hard-headed about Catalonia, and they don't like to be bossed around. And through the centuries, they've been trampled on because they're on a crossroads. And I think they just got a thick hide, and they're like, you know what? The church is just yet another conqueror, you know. So it was a Roman city, so. Yeah, actually, there's one odd one that was in there. I started making, when you have a sheet of fused glass, it's hard to figure out what you want to do with it, because what do you do with this thing? So years ago, I found a pachinko machine on the curb, and I started putting those glass things. They're Japanese wall-mounted pinball machines, but these are from the 60s. And so this one, I had a big graffiti image of Salvador Dali's face, and then to mimic the Asian influence, I took a photograph of a samurai from an old Japanese woodcut, and so that's my East meets West thing. And I mean, that's sort of the non sequitur of the whole show, but I still love it because I love pachinko machines. Because when I was in high school, I worked for Sears, Roebuck and Company, and in the Wish book in 1968, they featured these pachinko machines that they ripped out of these parlors in Japan, and they were all broken, and people would return them. So I spent months taking these mangled pachinko machines and boxing them up and sending them back to the factory. So I have this, like, I don't know, they're just beautiful machines, and they're stupid. They're not fun to play on or anything, but they're just so beautifully crafted. I mean, anyway. I digress. That piece, I just love it because of the pachinko machine, but I thought it was a really beautiful overlay between those two, and that was quite early. And so I think that sort of generated, using these religious icons, you know, Judeo-Christian imagery, taking it out of the Japanese, and you know, making collages that were maybe more suited to Barcelona. So then I started making these, some of them pretty outlandish frames, and that's actually kind of been fun, is actually making the frames for these things is kind of fun, you know. So anyway, yeah, that piece, I got a soft spot in my heart for it, you know. You know, ask any artist, and you know, making art is like falling in love, and you fall in love with the piece until you start the next one, and then that's the old girlfriend, you know.